Apologize for being a little bit late, but we are going to make up for it, and we're going to share some exciting content with you today. Welcome again, and thanks for waiting. Using cloud, Microsoft SQL Server Azure, to enable basically and PowerPivot to deliver data as a service, and also self-service BI at Microsoft. So our goal is to really share with you real stories of how we are doing BI at Microsoft within Microsoft IT. And hopefully you'll see some new implementation good things together here. My name is Sanjay Soni. I'm a BI evangelist in Microsoft IT. So how many of you are from IT? Okay, how many of you are not from IT? How's that? Okay, so you'll get a special treatment as our business person in the room here. So whenever we say, look, business people have a rumor that IT does that, then we'll always talk to you. What's your name, sir? Grant, okay, all right. And so we'll see what we can do here. And with me, I have Diana Putnam, my manager.
Hi, my name is Diana Putnam. I'm a principal program lead. Is this working? Can you guys hear me? Okay, great. I'm Sanjay's manager. I basically manage a group of program managers that deliver BI solutions within the Microsoft business.
Awesome. And we are fortunate to have Hari, who's our developer, who has worked on the solution we're going to share with you today, data as a service solution.
Hey, this is Hari. So I'm a developer, as Sanjay mentioned. I'm working in BI platforms group. So basically, we identify the business solutions along with PM team and then try to give solutions in a best possible technical way and make life easy.
Make life easy, yes, of course. How many developers in the room here today? Okay, all right. So I just want to say a couple of things about our agenda. We're going to start very quickly with Microsoft BI overview. Many of you are already familiar with, like 1 or 2 slides on that. Let's switch it off maybe. Okay, all right. So we'll start with Microsoft BI overview very quickly, but then literally the most of the presentation is going to be about our story of Microsoft IT. So we'll start with IT infrastructure, the cloud situation we have, and really the story of how we in 5 years or so, basically, how did we start from scratch? How did we build enterprise data warehouse, our BI reporting solution, and then how are we moving towards cloud? And we are going to share a story of this one application. We call it data services layer. So for a minute, let me introduce the situation, okay? So for a minute, folks, imagine a world, okay? I'm an evangelist. I talk in those languages, eh? I'm supposed to laugh. You know, it's after lunch. We're going to try to make it fun for you. So imagine a world. That's how I sold the first solution 5 years ago at Microsoft, where all employees of Microsoft, for example, or at your company, could actually go to a URL. And based on their Windows account, they get to see all of their data at Microsoft where they have access. I'm talking about enterprise data warehouse data, their own data, maybe their own movie databases, maybe their own local databases, or any other data at Microsoft from cloud or not from cloud in one place. How many of you actually have that kind of a place where you could go in your company and you could really get everything in one place, all the data? I'm talking about tables, views, everything. It's a difficult problem to solve, isn't it? So that solution is actually DSL, data services layer. It's a cloud-based application. We're going to talk about that today, right? Another one I'm going to talk a little bit later. We'll talk about that later. And then we'll start with, so throughout the session, we'll be sharing with you the top 10 best practices and lessons learned we've done. But we're going to summarize all that towards the end as top 10 lessons learned. We'll do some good stuff, hopefully. And we also have some nice, maybe we'll put some batteries on these, and then maybe, maybe we won't have it. We have some disco shirts here. So really, it's sound activated, and if you talk, it just lights up and moves things. It's really. How many of you are in? Sorry.
BI rock.
Okay, cool. All right. See, here's some. So we'll give away some of these here. And how many of you were in the booth with us, CBI booth? Okay, cool. So then you'll get some special considerations. I'm just kidding. But there's some questions we have during the presentation. Every couple of minutes, we'll stop and we'll ask you questions. If you answer. Questions will be based upon the slides that were covered before. So it's very easy. So everything is on the slides, yeah? Then you get to win these. And also we have some flying monkeys too, so we can throw some of those in there, okay, just to keep you awake. And that's the excitement, hopefully. Let's get started. So these are some of the top 10 lessons that we have learned over 6 years of delivering BI at Microsoft. I have been in that group right now. And some of the questions we'll cover is something like this. What should you do first, EDW or should you do BI reporting consolidation? So how many of you have EDW at your company? Right? So what do we do first? Something like that. Or why Azure? Or how do I know? So we'll talk about all these good things during the session, data governance. This is the kind of, I'm trying to set the expectations right for you for this session because topic is misleading, right? Using cloud, it could mean anything. So I just want to share with you what we are going to share with you. And I also want to say upfront, this session does not cover SQL Azure and Windows Azure technical details. It doesn't teach you how to use SQL Azure from scratch or Windows Azure or all that good stuff. We're not going to be talking about cloud-hosted PowerPivot reports and SharePoint Online. What we are going to talk about today is going to be real-world examples, real-world implementation through the Microsoft IT BI journey, how we started 5 years ago, with consolidated BI, moved to enterprise data warehouse, moving to cloud. There's an application called data services layer. We're going to talk about a cloud application. How are we consuming SQL Azure data sources? Yeah? And how are we enabling self-service BI using PowerPivot? So how many of you are familiar with PowerPivot already? Okay, good. So for the rest of you, we'll start to give you good access. And then top 10 reasons through the BI journey. All right. So evolution of BI, you've seen this before. Most of the companies, what do? They start from left-hand side. They start, IT professionals, the role is to literally, take the existing data, ETL the data into this, and then, sorry, I'm moving here, and then stage this whole process, and create a data warehouse and data mart, and then give access to end users, right? How long does it take? Forever, right? Somebody gave me the right answer. Also, another example yesterday was like, it takes a lifetime to create enterprise data warehouse. Yeah, that was an interesting answer, lifetime. Welcome to the new world where all this wall is falling. Essentially, the new world is that of a self-service BI, right? Where literally people cannot wait for all that to happen, and they want access to the data that you've already acquired now. You see, IT should be in the business of managing self-service BI, provisioning data sources, and empowering business power users. Yeah, that's what we should be doing. So that's our Microsoft BI stack, but you know what? And you've seen this stack before. Data sources could be SQL Server, Oracle, anything like that. You do this whole integration services, analysis service. How many of you are using OLAP engine, analysis services? It happens to be my favorite BI engine. OLAP, if you go to olapreport.com, you can really build some good cubes. We are using that internally as well. And then, of course, you have this SharePoint at the end, right, where you can publish all those reports using Excel or any of those PowerPivot applications. Okay, so we are making big use of that as well. So let's talk about, all right, story. See, once upon a time, I'm glad that music worked. I worked very hard on that music, right? So I wanted to make sure that works. So that's what keeps me, thank God. So nothing else is important anymore. Once upon a time, okay, there were IT departments at Microsoft, and I'm talking about real story, folks, based on real incidents. Right? 6 years ago, we had Microsoft IT, right? And we had all those solutions everywhere and everything else, and IT in business groups. And Grant, you're Grant? Okay, you're my business user in this, okay? If you don't mind role playing, I can guarantee you a Disco t-shirt. How's that?
Full disclosure, I used to be in Microsoft IT.
Oh, no. Okay, that's good. So you're familiar with that. All right. This was not staged, by the way. Okay, this was, hey, it's a so there were silos of unorganized BI, right? I hope you can relate with this situation. I'm going to ask you. But reports, scorecards, and dashboards were everywhere. End users had to go to different shares to get all of their BI, right? Think about 90,000 employees of Microsoft going to 600 different places during their career at Microsoft for so many years and getting all of their BI all over the place. That's not efficient. Now, there's always a rumor in IT, in business, that IT is slow. Is it true in your company too? How many of your business folks think that IT is slow in your company? Yeah? So this is just a rumor. I don't think it's true. Or maybe it is true. IT was creating most of the reports and everything for business people. And business people are like, no, hey, it's not enough for us. Very slow. So then, the other problem was, that was one problem. No one place to go for all reports, scorecards, and dashboards. Other problem was, there was no single place to explore data. This is what is awesome. There was no place where you could go where you could get all of your databases. Imagine this. All of your data from enterprise data warehouse, for those of you who have EDW, one place to explore for 90,000 plus employees, right? Or one place to explore all the reports and everything in one place. Yes? That is hard, isn't it? And consumers could be what? Consumers could be business people like Grant who live in Excel and they consume, and other business people, other technical people are developers, SQL developers. They simply want to get data table and get the code. Really select star from, yeah? But they have to request many people for all of that access. That was a business problem. And who are the data publishers? Publishers are the people who want to publish data. Let's say Grant wants to publish his reports, scorecard, no, just data, just databases. You want to publish to some of the end users. So who consumes reports here? Anybody? A volunteer? I'm looking for a volunteer who can. Yes, ma'am. Your name? Marie. 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 Okay, got it. So Marie, let's say you are my end user and you want to consume that data from Grant. And Grant has all this terabytes of data he wants to publish. But then how does he publish that data to Marie without making copies of it? See, this is a very important point. You want to be able to explore this data as a service from your company, you need to give a logical place for everybody to go and consume without making copies of data. That's a nightmare for IT, right, to manage that otherwise, if you keep making copies. All right, so business challenge was to create enterprise data warehouse, first of all, and to enable business power users to create their own BI, self-service BI. Enable data as a service from EDW and also benefit from elasticity of the cloud. What I mean to say is with cloud, you can start with 4 CPUs and go to 8 CPUs easily. You don't have to plan for 32 CPUs, just like that. You can, as your demand grows, you can do that. So with that context, now I'm going to request Diana to talk about challenges facing enterprise IT, including within Microsoft IT.
Thank you. Oh boy, this is a tough act to follow. Thanks, Sanjay. I'll do my best. All right, so some of the major challenges that Sanjay already had mentioned is, one, everyone thinks, or I shouldn't say everyone, most business people think that IT is slow, they're too expensive, they don't deliver what they want, so there's a lot of issues there. And I'm going to cover here the major challenges facing us and then how cloud is actually helping us to alleviate some of those big challenges. Oops, other way. So coming with cloud, all of us understand kind of the left-hand side of the choices that we have of on-premise solutions. Now with the cloud, there is a whole nother layer of choices that we have to make as IT professionals. And each one of these can help us solve issues in a different way. So a couple of the things that I'm going to point out here, so on the economic side, now using the cloud, we only have to pay for what we use. Today, when we're provisioning hardware, let's say, most of us, if you're building an enterprise data warehouse, you're paying a lot of money for a large infrastructure off the top of the bat. Now, with the cloud, we can just pay for what we use. We can go in with a small infrastructure, and as we grow, we can grow that and only pay as time goes on. On the management side, there's faster deployments. There's no patching or maintenance. That stuff happens just out of the box from what we pay as we go. There's increased opportunities, like I said, of that right-hand side of all the different technologies now that we can use. There's also internet collaboration, which is something new that we usually have not been able to do with IT in the past. So these are just a couple articles. Some of you probably read some of these about how committed Microsoft is to the cloud. So within IT, Microsoft IT, all of us have in our commitments, our yearly commitments, that we're moving to the cloud. So this is just kind of a reminder. A lot of you probably are in the same boat of how committed we are to moving to the cloud. And we're going to share with you today kind of our journey of how we're getting to the cloud. It's not a big bang where we just decided we're going to take all of IT solutions and put them out on the cloud. We're going to share with you how we got there and how we're actually going there. So here's a little diagram that shows, basically it's an iterative process. So how we've decided to move to the cloud is take each application that we have today that's on-premise and do an in-depth analysis of that application. We're having to decide, based on the type of data. Is it high-impact data? Is it, MBI data? Is it low-impact data? That type of thing. We're also looking at, obviously, the size of the databases. How large are they? Do we need to pare them down or make smaller databases or segment them in somehow in order to move them onto the cloud? So we're doing a lot of proof of concept efforts within IT right now to decide which of those applications really are the best suited to move out to the cloud, and then we're starting with those and moving them out. So it's not like I said, not a big bang. We're taking out these applications and we're iteratively analyzing them, making changes to some of them, and then moving them out to the cloud. And Sanjay, I think it's
Okay.
back to you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I just want out of raise of hands, okay? How many of you can relate with the scenario on the slide right now? How many of you have a situation like that? Right? There's no one place where people can actually go and really get all this good stuff, all the reports, everything that have. So our goal was to create enterprise data warehouse. Who doesn't want enterprise data warehouse in the room? All of us want, right? A clean data of every one place to do this. Now, how do you do that? You can approach your CIO and say, look, can you give us $10 million, $50 million, whatever, to create enterprise data warehouse? Or can we do something else? So most of the companies start from left-hand side, isn't it? What is the right thing to do you think? Left to right or right to left? What do you think? What do you think? Should we start EWs with left to right or right to left?
Right to left.
Right to left, really? Oh my goodness, I can't believe that. Here's a flying monkey for you. Hari, you can give him. So here's what we did, okay? We started from right to left. Believe it or not. If you start from left to right, you'll keep going for years and years, and guess what? Business will say you are slow and everything else. What we did at Microsoft is we started from right to left. Well, think about it. Microsoft is running as a business for how many years now? How old are we? 25 years?
More than that, I think we're almost 30 now.
So we never had enterprise data warehouse until now, 2 years, 3 years ago, right? So what does it mean that Microsoft is not functioning as a company? It is, right? So I know we don't have all that clean data. We now, okay, if I said something wrong, you can correct me. But I just said it. Okay, fine. What can you do now? So what I'm saying is, if we never had enterprise data warehouse, and then if we still had, we did have clean data in individual LOB applications. That's how companies functioning. Reports, scorecards, and dashboards have been existing for so many years. Business is running as usual, right? No issues. So what can we do? We can start from right-hand side, create a SharePoint portal. Create an enterprise report catalog where you can add those reports with not so clean data, allow business people to do that on their own. Do not host their bad data. Another thing. So they've had databases, all LOB applications, finance, HR. Let them host wherever it is, or other IT departments are hosting. But as a BI engineering group, we are not going to host that data unnecessarily. We're only going to create our enterprise data warehouse once, yes? So what we did is, we allowed business people to add their reports with existing data, not so clean, whatever it is, on the right-hand side, right here. In one enterprise report catalog and one SharePoint portal. We did that. Guess what? It was an interesting idea. We started with one application, 300 users. I'll tell you what happened after that, the rest of the story. But then once we did that, excitement grew. Lots of people started coming to this one place. And then we started this project. This took only 4 months to do this, right here. 4 months job. And it was easy to get people excited with dashboard stuff. And then we started with this project, took us 2 years or so. So now I'm proud to say that we have enterprise data warehouse. We have 10 terabyte plus warehouse and lots of compression, after compression and compression, all the good stuff. Guess what? Now that the data is clean, all we have to do is switch data from not so clean data to clean data. See what I'm saying? 4 month approach versus 2 years approach, 1 year approach. And now that we have clean data, some of the data is in the cloud, some of the data is local, and we are switching the data sources. Yes? Does it make sense so far or no? Sounds different, isn't it? So this is what was done. Remember on the right-hand side, I'm talking about CBI. This is what we created, those 5 years ago, and it took us only 4 months to create this. What is it? So for a minute, this is how I sold to the first sponsor. I said, imagine a world where all employees at a company like Microsoft can someday go to one URL, CBI. Based on their Windows account, they get to see all of their BI reports, scorecards, dashboards for entire company in one place. And the sponsor was laughing. He said, hi, you're joking or what. But it was, we got the funding at the end of the day. We did. From that, we got this thing in production 4.5 years ago. Now I'm happy to report. These are the numbers to remember for Disco shirts, okay? Are you ready? So we started with one application, 300 users. Now we have 38,000 plus users, 38,000 plus users, 100 plus applications, 22,000 plus reports, scores, and dashboards from all these businesses in one place called CBI now. And that has grown over time, and that was very instrumental in getting people excited. What is it? It's one enterprise report catalog for entire company, one BI portal. What product do you think we use for the portal? SharePoint it is. We use SharePoint. But then what should IT be doing? Should IT be creating reports or not? Yeah, IT should not be in the business of creating reports. We slowly got out of the business of creating reports. We were in the business of hosting, enabling self-service BI. So we are hosting. We started with 4 servers. Now we have 50 plus servers in Dublin, Singapore, all over the globe. So this is just one place where people can go. And so those were the numbers to remember. Now let's get to the next slide here, and hopefully let's see what happened after that. Okay, so let me just get to the demo now. Okay, it's music one more time for you, but that's okay. But let's just get to the demo, laptop 1, and I'm going to show you this demo now, real quick. This application I'm showing you, can you see fully, or is it being cut on the left-hand side? Is it okay? Kind of, right? So this is just one destination where business users can go, and they simply type CBI. The site welcomes them with their name or login ID. That's not a big deal, is it? It's a SharePoint site. What's the big deal? The big deal is on the left-hand side, folks. What I'm showing you right now is this one enterprise report catalog for an entire company, okay, where we have 22,000 plus reports, scorecards, and dashboards in one place. And who has control over these catalogs, business or IT? What do you think? So we simply give these folders to business people. They add all these reports, and we have 38,000 plus users who have used all this good stuff, in one place right there. So do you think we should give those folders for free, or should we charge money every year? What do you think? Sorry? Charge them? Yeah, you think so? Will they pay? Okay, I'm happy to report to you today, first of all, we did not make it free. When you make things free, people take it for granted. We made it like a BI as a service from IT for business people to pay every year. And guess what? Initially, some people are, why are we charging? What is this? We came with a cost model, and we started charging money. And now I'm happy to report to you, we've been charging for 5 years, and users have grown from 300 to 38,000. 100 plus applications now, people are paying. But again, you cannot charge millions of dollars. You charge like maybe $10,000, $20,000. At the end of the day, it can become $1 million, right, for you, for your team. So this is something we did, and it's really cool. Now take a look here. So I have these reports. How do you think I can open the reports? Any guesses? Click it, yeah? I don't know which reports to click on. So what we do is, I want to show you a magical way of looking at reports. We force all people to enter the metadata, and they can see all these reports right here, metadata, whichever they want to open, and the report will open once they open it. Once they do that, they can also rename the tabs and all the good stuff, sharing folders, favorites. They can add their reports to their favorites, all this right here, one place, okay? And then I have a question for you. If I close this browser now, right? If I go to another machine, I type CBI, what do you think will I see next time? Any guesses? Sorry? Who said same? Oh, you said same thing? Okay, we'll give you a disco t-shirt, okay, for that. Thanks for believing. Essentially, this is a very important thing. People just go to this one URL, they add their favorites, everything else. Next time they come back, all of their BI for entire company, I'm talking about up to 22,000 reports, scorecards, and dashboards are in one place. You can do that. Okay, so that was done. Now I just want to, before I switch back, have you seen this tool before, Pivot Viewer? So how many of you have seen this? Okay, this is really, I want to just give you some little bit of visualization stuff, then we'll go to data as a service, okay? So take a look. Office of the CIO prototype, real. Okay, this is not just a demo I'm showing you. We have real Office of the CIO is using this right now. And we have masked the picture, so this has my picture, other people's pictures, not CIO pictures, okay? So we removed the pictures of CIO. But take a look. If you're looking at these green, yellow, red things, what are those things? Office CIO people who are reporting to CIO are right here. And what do you think green, yellow, red things are? Sorry? KPIs, right? Sort owner. Let's sort this data. You see this? Very nicely, you can find out what is happening with this person or that person. You can click on this. It's a silver light. The tool is called Pivot Viewer, okay? And essentially all part of Microsoft BI stack, and it's going to be part of SharePoint as well. So silver light, of course. Now take a look. Something is red here. This guy should not be smiling. What do you think? I don't know. Why is he smiling? So this should be like that. I'm just kidding. But then you see this right here, the metadata and all the good stuff. And if you really, really want to find out what's happening, the metadata is right there. But also you can have a more traditional report behind the scenes to take you back in there, okay? That's the kind of analysis you can do. Now, I showed you all this glittery stuff, right? Now, how is this all coming back together? So we did that thing, and then, okay, I'm switching back because our goal is to show you some more things. That was SharePoint BI. So now I have a question for you. Who can answer these both questions? We'll get this from DiscoShed. How many applications and reports supported by CBI? So I'm going to go to this side. Yes? Yes, here we go. Give him a big round of applause. Come on. I mean, that was our first official question, you know. So let's keep going. Now we switch gears, folks. Now we talk about, so that's what we did 5 years ago with CBI. See, what was our ultimate goal? What do you think was our ultimate goal? And EDW. And EDW, right? EDW was the ultimate goal, and of course, self-service BI. But how do you get started with EDW? That's a big problem if you just keep showing them. Can any of you in the room evangelize ETL to business people? Okay, how many of you can evangelize dashboards and scorecards to business people? You see, that's the idea. We get their existing stuff into this one place. One people are excited about this one URL. Now let's start with EDW journey after 2 years of being in production. Go.
Okay.
Sorry.
So EDW journey, this probably looks familiar to some of you. This was our approach. Kind of the V1s, that was probably the first year and a half or so. It was a foundational journey where we're basically trying to create the technical capabilities of acquisition and basic distribution of our data source systems. Again, just to reiterate, we started at the end. So we did CBI first to get those business customers really excited about what we were doing with EDW. They had something to look at and play with while we were in the back end building a lot of ETL. And version 2.0, so this is more of an institutionalized sort of a theory. So we were extending the EDW with certified and enriched data. So the idea behind that is really focusing on data quality, making sure that we have a data quality health maturity model to show the business partners once they bring their data into the EDW, how healthy is that data? What's the quality of it? And we would score that and then show that to the business partners. But the business partners have the ultimate accountability of owning the data and the quality of that data. We're just exposing the quality of the data they gave us. And then we're looking at enhancing the platform capabilities with business enabling features. So more things like CBI, self-service BI like we're going to show here later on, and DSL. And also improving self-service acquisition. So I'll show here a little bit later on where one of the key pain points that we actually have today within our EDW is we really have a lack of self-service BI. So we started our EDW journey with finance data primarily, which, as you guys know, has to be pristine, right? It has to balance to the penny. So we created our EDW capabilities with finance data in mind. So it was a full-blown, end-to-end solution where we were taking all the data, making sure it was cleansed perfectly, putting it out into our marts and cubes, et cetera. But in the meantime, we have business partners coming to us from, let's say, sales or marketing saying, we just want our data to get in there now, and we just want to play with it. We don't want to wait for a 3-month or 6-month development cycle to see what our data looks like in the end. So that's what we're working on right now, is the more self-service BI scenario. 3.0, so that's really transforming business through data association. So once we get all that data into our system, associating it with links, right? That's one of the hard things today when you get your different data sources in. How do people know how to link the data? So we're working on now, even through our DSL solution, of coming up with ways to basically help people with those linkages. Some of it would be from past work that we've done, actually knowing what the linkages are, but also taking people's opinions. So as power users go in and they link data, they can actually have that IP be sticky. And we're going to be able to tell other people that, hey, 10 other people over here have associated the data like this. And that's how we want to be able to show people that they can do that as well. Moving forward here. So again, this is just kind of a visualization of kind of the initial state. You can see all the crazy web of lines. You guys probably have a similar type of a scenario where we had source data systems on the left going into multiple line of business solutions, so copying that data over and over, but really having line of business data warehouses, if you will. And then we've got duplicate, conflicting, inconsistent marts, cubes, reports everywhere, right? Thanks, Sanjay.
Yeah, that was good
That was
one,
great.
right? Did you like the music?
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
So where are we? So we still have escalations. We still have slow delivery. All these different issues that we've already talked about, right? So this is where we're evolving to and going. So it looks much cleaner, right? And also the other thing I want to mention in here is part of our solution will sit down on the cloud. So you see the nice little blue clouds here. And I didn't put clouds holistically across the entire solution because that's really not realistically how it's going to be. Initially, we're going to have, like I said, as the journey moves on, parts of our data sources and applications, our marts, cubes, et cetera, will be out on the cloud, but some of them will also be on-premise, just depending on what the need is for those individual those items. All right, Sanjay is going to talk a little bit more about our approach of actually moving to the cloud, and we're going to highlight an existing application for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Diana. So as we were talking about the EDW journey, then basically in parallel, there was this whole initiative of cloud, right? Want to move applications to the cloud. So can you really move everything to the cloud just like that, or iterative approach that Diana was talking about? We take the iterative approach. So every application, every company has applications, existing applications. Then there are new applications. So we identified one of our auction tools. We really have a auction tool is really part of HTTP Give environment. We donate, every year. Microsoft donates money to everything. So then that application, you chose that one to be on the cloud. At least out of others, that one of them I want to mention is this one. Then we wanted to make the new applications that were being developed as part of BI or a part of IT. Why don't we identify some of them to be in the cloud? So one of the ones that we selected was EDW Explorer. And that's the one we are going to show you today in action. DSL, that's the one. That's the next topic right after this slide, is that application called EDW Explorer. That was at one location to explore all the data from Microsoft in terms of as a EDW or everything else, and then move big or critical applications a little bit later. Performance at Microsoft is our HR application. Think of it this way. If we are able to move our HR application to the cloud, that means that's something big, right? So initiative is already happening within Microsoft to move that. That means we are committed to move our HR data to the cloud. So that's where it's going. But today, let's focus on that big problem I was talking about before. The DSL is there was no one place to explore all the databases at the company, for people to go and explore, and for people to publish data without making copies. So let's get to this data as a service platform we created called DSL. So this is the application that I'm talking about. Data as a service platform called DSL, Data Services Layer within Microsoft. We created this application, and the goal was really to provide this one place, literally one URL, where anybody at Microsoft can go, and they can explore enterprise data, warehouse data. They can explore their own databases and consume it, and publishers do not have to make copies of data. And also, some users live in PowerPivot. Some users are developers. So many of you who are developers here, right? So you want to simply consume the data and write your own queries, or you just want predefined queries also created for you. So that's the kind of approach we took for this one. Let's see if we can show this demo to you now. And other thing was to literally take these LOB applications, mobile applications, and consume web services. And another thing was literally the abstraction from physical databases. You do not want physical databases to be a constraint when you try to consume. So let's say my table is called movie table, and then over time it becomes movie TBL. So you don't want this application to break, underlying application to break. So it should be a logical place to go, not physical. Okay, let me say one more time. If you just simply go to all these physical locations and expose those, then there is the chance that applications will break. If there's a logical mapping that happens and done by business power users when you're exposing that data as a service, then applications will not break and business have control over it. Okay, so I'm going to show you this demo now, and let's see this in action. So result. Well, before I show the demo, result slide. Result of this application, 1.5 years in production now. The DSL application I'm showing you now, the cloud application, the demo that you'll see 1 minute from now, has been in production for 1.5 years. And here's the result. Numbers to remember for the next disco shirts are on the slide. Now, see. Terabytes of enterprise data is available through DSL. Data can be consumed by LOB and mobile applications, portals. And look at these numbers, really. Within 6 months of making this application live, the observation was 5.8 million requests for data. 96 lines of business applications I'm talking about, with 1,600 plus direct power users. Now, these people are not only SQL developers. These people also live in business. These are technical business power users who can consume all this data as well. These users were there, and then thousands of end users were there. Latest numbers, as of last week, I think, or last month maybe. Latest is 65,000 plus data requests per day. That's 1.9 million requests per month. So we never had any idea that this application will become so widely adopted. See, everybody wants scorecards, dashboards, and reports, but we never knew that data will be in such a demand. I'm talking about raw data here. See, CBI was an application where we enabled self-service BI with reports for a dashboard. This is I'm talking about data from the cloud. Data, go ahead.
What's the request? Is it I want access?
He will talk. Since he's here, might as well. Go ahead. Talk.
Are you able to hear me?
Loud.
Okay. Can I switch on his mic, please? Thank you. So request means a request for data. So for example, you execute a select statement, like select column 1, column 2, column 3, whatever, from a particular database. That we consider as a request. So basically, it's a transaction, a single. Any SQL transaction. Yep, exactly.
Okay, good question. In fact, why don't we give a flying monkey for that? Come on, that was a good question too. So, thank you for asking. Any other question before we go to the demo? Yes?
How are you managing security for bank?
We'll talk about security. We'll definitely talk about security and make sure we talk enough about security at the end. Like, we'll definitely talk about that.
What are the performance considerations or pain point that you had when you had you didn't expect this much, so when you scaled up?
Absolutely.
Performance pain point that
So performance, yes, that's a good point. So we did have performance issue. We never expected this to become such a big, application. We did have that, and I think there was some network load balancing done, and also a hurricane. You can keep attaching this figure, so it's fine. Go ahead. That's,
All right.
yeah. Go ahead, talk about the
Yeah,
performance.
so basically there are few considerations what we have to make before we come up to the solution. So one thing is the data is somewhere. We don't want to make a copy of the data, right? And how do we make less network latency? So that's one of the major consideration what we had. And what are the possible features we can add to this solution so that we get enough load balancing and then support as many users possible. So what we did was, so when we created a solution, so we developed a small client piece. So we made that in such a way that it can be centrally located, it can be attached to a source, or it can be attached to the client side as well. So based on the scenario, for example, I'll quote a couple of scenarios what we have right now in production. So there is a team called GSX which has so many extranet customers. So they have a huge database. So what they did, they exposed their data through DSL and had this the client piece attached to their source. So anyone who wants to connect to the data source, so what they'll do, they'll come to the UI. Probably we are going to show the UI in a couple of minutes. So they'll come to the UI.
Yeah, we'll talk.
And then explore the data. Okay, this is what I want, and the UI will have a node where to connect and then get the data. So they connect to the SQL server and then try to execute the DSL way of querying and then retrieve the data. So that way we reduce the network latency. So since we are exposing data as a service, we are not allowing two network hops. We try to make sure that there is only one network hop. Yes, sir.
Okay. So
I was just going to follow that up by saying you're putting yourselves in a pretty dangerous spot by saying, go ahead, query all the data, that's fine, but then you're going to actually affect the subsystems that you're actually drawing data from.
Right.
So now you're completely relying on somebody else tweaking and tuning these databases.
No, exactly. So the problem is, I got the question. So there is so when data is exposed through DSL, there is a controlled way of consuming data, right? So we have so many rules in place, the governance rules in place. When they expose the data pack, we call that as data package in DSL. When a database is exposed, so there are ways in which the data owner can control. Okay, this is how I want my database to be queried. So these are the columns I don't want to make joins.
yes.
And these are the way I want to mask the data. This is how the user should be queried, and these are the number of queries a user can make query against my database in a particular day.
Yeah.
So there are so many governance rules.
Yes. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you because now let's get going with the demo. After the demo, it will all become clear, and we'll show this option as well. So, all right, I know we are kind of running. How much time do we have left now? 32 minutes? Okay. So we'll do our best, right? Let me show you the demo, and demo will also clarify. Thank you for that, Hari, and let's go this one. Here we go, folks. This is the application. So what I showed you before was CBI, right? The CBI was meant for end users or power users? What do you think? It was flashy, beautiful. You saw that, right? Now here is the application that they designed, okay, Hari designed, meant for all those power users. Okay, this is Silverlight. Okay, I'm not saying anything. This is good.
That's fine.
But it's just not that. Hey, it's just not that flashy. Come on, I mean, but it's a good application. This is an application designed. Okay, look at this URL. What do you see in the URL? Anything cool?
It's on the cloud. Yeah.
It's in the cloud, right? It's a cloud-based application 1.5 years ago in production in the cloud. And what we are doing right now is take a look, folks. It looks simple, but this is awesome. Okay, we have EDW. So I'm just going to move it back and forth here. That's fine. So we have EDW, right? So we have some data in EDW in acquisition stage, right? Some data is in integration stage. Some data is in distribution stage. Now, should we wait for distribution to happen, or should we simply expose acquired data as well? What do you think? Sorry? Expose everything. As we were acquiring data, as we were integrating data, we were exposing everything. And that is very, very important. Do not wait for that finished thing to happen. Keep exposing what you have. Acquisition data sources, this is production URL I'm showing you. Some of the publisher data that from acquisition, we publish the data to publisher, okay? This is all our acquired data. You see this? Real. I hope there is nothing confidential here, Diana. I'm showing production application today, sorry. Okay, fine. Okay, I'll not show the data, fine. Acquisition, publisher, integration, right here, integration, sales, all the good stuff. Then there's some data ready for distribution. We're exposing the full data, everything. 90,000 employees can actually go to this URL and they can explore what's out there. Data as a service, not reports, nothing to do with reports. Yes? Now, let's talk about this. So I'm a consumer, folks, and Marie, let's say you are my consumer. Yes, you are my consumer. So, so Mary types this URL and she sees, first of all, she will only see data sets where she has access, okay? There are some data sets based on her Windows account. She will only see data where she has access, nothing that she doesn't. And even if she sees this overall big thing, the data actually, this is all metadata. This is okay, maybe this is public. Metadata is okay for people to see, but not the actual real data when you click on it. Yes? Let's take an example of a database here under external. Now imagine this, remember this, folks. If you want them to move to EDW, do not restrict for them to only get data from EDW. Do not think of that other data that they are using as your competition. That should just be a step for them, for them to take away from their existing to us. So always allow this first. Allow their existing data to be exposed first, and then move them to EDW. Okay, here's the external data set. Here's a database, physical database. Let's say, Mary, you go there and you see this version 1.0. Under version 1.0, what do you see? Data groups. So can any of you answer this question for me? What are data packages analogous to? Data packages are analogous to? Sorry? Databases. And then within databases, data groups are analogous to? All right. And within tables, what do you have? Columns. Right here, fields on the right side. Now, do you think, so this is it. Now, let's say she wants to see geography hierarchy-based data, right there. Here's a logical name, physical name, all the good stuff, right there. Now, do you think this is logical? So who created this logical names here? Business, power user, data publishers, or consumers? What do you think? Publishers. They are from IT or from business? Could be both. Could be both, IT or business, okay? Fine, here we go. Here's a logical place for people, they're going to put more friendly names here. Now, take a look, right there. What is this? That is some code right there. Mary, you don't have to write SQL code anymore. Yes, did you used to write it anyway? Okay, good. So then you just simply copy this, okay? And go to Excel, right there. And in Excel, you can go to, let's say PowerPivot, for example. And you can just copy all this stuff, and then I'll have him talk about this later on. But then other user is somebody from left-hand side. What's your name, sir? The security question you asked. Don. Let's say you use SQL, Developer Management Studio. You do not want to worry about Excel or anything like that. You live in SQL Management Studio. All you do is you go there and copy this code, and then simply go there and then this is right there, and then go to SQL Query Analyzer and you consume all this data. That's one way. SQL Delta Pulse. Our goal is to inspire you to create such an application at your company using cloud and everything else, and enable self-service BI. By exposing all this stuff here, and guess what? Sample data. You are out of the question of creating any data as a service or any. You simply enable reporting as a service, data as a service, and have business do their own reporting, scorecarding, and dashboarding. That's what I'm trying to preach here. We did that with CPI before, but now with data as a service, it's going to new places now with this application. Take a look. Mary, you can take a look at all this data that we have, sample data. See how many of you use, doesn't matter, you use Oracle or SQL Server, but the point is this. How many times have you been able to touch EDW at your company? Let me ask one more time. How many of you have EDW again? Okay, then how many of you are actually able to touch EDW, any table, any data, anytime you want to see it? That's hard. It's always locked down, right? Not available. So here's our way of, this is important. Give them sample data. Give them sample, right here for people to explore what's out there. Guess what? Some of the data will be HBI, high business impact. We have that. Sensitivity, sales data, right? We have deployed all kinds of data to this application, sales data, HR, all kinds of data is deployed here. So there's a field here called HBI, MBI. If you check all the good stuff, then nobody will be able to see the data, down to individual columns. You see right here. Okay, so that's good. This data is exposed. You can consume the reports. Now comes publisher. Grant, let's say you are my publisher, data publisher, right? Business publisher. You're from business, not from IT. You want to publish this. All you do, you click new. Let's say Grant has a movie database he wants to publish, and from SQL, it's like a SQL database. He can come with movie database, name, description, and he wants to say external data in the cloud, Redmond, whatever. What kind of data security we want? See this, security? Do you want to talk about security for a minute, right here? 4 options, just a little bit quickly though, right?
So we considered 4 different options, actually. So when you say security in SQL, there are 2 ways of securing data, right? One is at an entity level and at the data level. So what we call is column level or row level. So you may want to restrict your users from using certain tables or certain columns of the table or certain views. That's on the entity level. And in Microsoft, we have scenarios like, so the data may be, a few users have to be restricted to their region-wise data or to their cost center-wise data. So that's restricting the users or securing the data on row level. So we gave 2 options to users who are going to publish the data here. So if you see, there are one drop-down and there is one checkbox. So the user permissions checkbox is for the column level security, and the security model drop-down is for the row level security. So there are 4 ways. One is no data security, means so every data is visible to every user. The second one is the user data security by user context. So where we make sure that the source has a mechanism of securing the data. So we just, from the services layer point of view, we execute the query or we execute the transaction against the source in the user context. And the third one is data security by parameterization. So where there are functions available in the source which takes the username and then provide us some domain values which we can use basically through joins and then filter out the data. And the last one is by security by mapping table, where the source has some kind of mapping between the user and the data what he can see. So every time a fact table is queried, it's automatically based on the domain values, we just filter it out. So these are the 4 options what we have right now. And
Thank you for that. We'll talk more right after this. We're kind of running short. I need to go to PowerPivot, but we'll talk more. Okay, I promise. Okay, let's keep going here. So fine, let's say Grant wants to publish this database. He puts all this information. Now take a look here. This is his physical database. Wherever he has it, he can put server name, linked server, database name, all this good stuff. He can just expose his physical database just like that. And then if his database in SQL Azure, right here, all he has to do is just like that. And then data is exposed from SQL Azure through this application as a logical place to go. Once he submits the request comes to our team. We are managing the whole data as a service, right? Comes to us, and then we can approve or not approve depending on where, if he has paid money or not. No, I'm just kidding. So, well, we charge money for this as well, data as a service. You can too. Try this. And then schema right here, table joins. I'm just going to talk about this quickly right now because of the time. But right here, he can specify what is the logical name. You see this? Very, very important. His table could be called MOVTBL. But the real name he wants users to see is movie table. You see, logical names are important, logical location, all the good stuff. Table joins. He can also create very graphical, not very graphical, but with some SQL code here. he could actually use some of these, join these tables and expose those, or custom data groups, direct SQL, and that's pretty much it. Once he does that, the request comes to us, completely we give access to him, approve, that's it. Now he can expose this data as a package on the left-hand side, just like this. His package will appear just like this for end users to consume this. Now this application, how many of you think this is not very flashy application to look at? Right? It's not, right? But that's okay. This is designed for those people who create reports. We're trying to make it easy for them to create reports using PowerPivot, use SQL Development Studio, very, very easy for them to consume and explore what's out there, okay? Any question on this, from this side, right-hand side? Any question or from this side? Before we move on to PowerPivot now? Okay, so far so good. So let's talk about PowerPivot now, and we will go from here to there. In all this, how does PowerPivot fit? You know, we talked about all this. All right, do you want to quickly cover this? We're kind of late, but maybe quickly. Go ahead.
So basically, these are the various options what we had when we started designing the application. So there is a initiative going on to move everything to cloud because of the advantages what we get for cloud. So just a slide on what are the technologies we just thought through. And this is our DSL use cases. So we are not 100% in cloud yet. So we have made the presentation layer in cloud. So the services layer, if you can see the services layer and the AWS Explorer is in cloud. Still the SQL APIs, which the user connect and then retrieve data, is still in on-premise. So I would say the exploration is in cloud and the consumption is still in on-premise. And so there are various things which we are looking at, like developing portal application, reusable control library for portal applications, and then link to SQL, OData interfaces. There are so many other things which we are planning, and then just they are in pipeline. So that's what it is.
And you know, we will be welcome. You're welcome to ask questions about detailed architecture a little bit after the session as well. So. But this is a good slide. I would like you to see the overall architecture.
This is the cloud architecture what we have in AWS Explorer. So where we have the authentication is done by the Active Directory STS server, which is Microsoft server, which is in cloud as well as in corporate. So the application what Sanjay showed, the UI is available in cloud as well as corporate instance. So based on the instance, whatever the user queries, we redirect the query to either Corp STS or the Cloud STS. And if it is in Cloud STS, we just go and fetch the, verify the user credentials, and then pass it on to the web service. And the web service connects to the on-premise metadata as well as the client service, which goes and fetch the data through a custom written port bridge service. And basically, it uses the service bus architecture.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so now let's shift gears into PowerPivot. You know, well, all right, this question for the discourse shared here, how many data requests do you think we saw per day in DSL? Well, if you already got the t-shirt, don't answer. I'll go all the way. Yes. 65,000. Was it 65,000? Per day. Per day. 65,000 is the right answer. 65,000 per day, yes. Yes. It was 2.8 million or something per month, actually. Yeah. Good. Okay, fine. We'll give one more. Okay, one more question. How many LOB applications were there are in the cloud right now? Are exposing data through DSL? Sorry. Yes. Sorry. No, we can do better than that. No, just kidding. 96? Yes, 96 days. Good, thank you. That was a tough question, actually. Let's keep going. So now, of course, we did all this good stuff. Now, where is PowerPivot in the whole mix? We didn't even talk about PowerPivot, did we? But I know that many of you are already familiar with PowerPivot, right? But I'm still going to, fine. So we had EW data. Some of this data we're exposing through data as a service. We had CBI enabled, but where's PowerPivot in all this? Well, if we have EW data, then why don't we create a sandbox environment for PowerPivot? Easy. Where people can go directly into Excel and consume all this data through DSL or some other applications, and they can give access to people. So that's what we did, actually. Now, again, how many people are already familiar with PowerPivot? Okay, then not everybody is. I'm going to give you how about like a 2-minute introduction to PowerPivot. If I'm too fast, slow me down. For a minute, folks, imagine a world, again, right, third time. Imagine a world where your business power users who live in Excel, right? Doesn't matter what BI tool you like, I like, they live in Excel. Business Power users can import hundreds of millions of rows of data. I'm not talking about 1 million limitation anymore. Hundreds of millions of rows of data inside of Excel from SQL, Azure, Teradata, Oracle, reporting services, analysis services, everything into this one place. And they can combine that data. Our director uses the word sometimes, munge the data. They combine that data, munge the data, mix it up, and then they create their own Excel solution inside of Excel without programming, yes? But what they might not realize, the file that they are creating is actually an OLAP cube, special OLAP cube file within Excel. Because now we have in-memory BI inside of Excel, because of which you can actually import hundreds of, I've seen the demo of 900 million rows imported inside Excel, mixing it up, and then everything is just creating a solution. That's how many of you think it's making life worse for IT, whatever I said? You agree with that? Yeah? But there's a silver lining to the cloud, the other end, which is they publish this file to SharePoint. And who hosts SharePoint, IT or business? So then all these rogue files that were out there in Excel before, now are back in IT's court. IT has access to those files of what is out there. So that's the story of PowerPivot right here, and that's a nice proposition. So we did that at Microsoft as well. We enabled PowerPivot on our SharePoint servers, okay? And we got to know about all those files. We had no idea what people were doing before. Those files were all out there. Now we were building EDW, remember? So we had access to those files. Now we know what kind of reporting is actually happening. We can have better requirements for EDW, and we can do a better job with EDW. Okay, that's what PowerPivot stuff is. So let's see if I can show you a quick demo. And within this demo, I am going to see if we can use some data from the cloud as well today. We'll try that. This is data from the cloud as well? Okay. Now this is the tricky part. I have not practiced this last part of the demo before, because we'll see how it works, okay? I'm going to pray to the cloud gods. Are there gods for the cloud too, or what? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so let's just get into this right here from scratch. I'm starting from scratch. Here's my challenge, folks. I want to know, right now it's 2:30. What I want to know is whether we can consume this data within next 4 minutes, okay? Can I create an analysis services cube inside of Excel? That's the challenge. 2:30 p.m. By 2:35, I should be done. What I want to do is, I don't know if I can do that. Well, 2:31 already, so we are late. Okay, we are in Excel. I just opened Excel 2010, and I have this PowerPivot add-in enabled. You go to powerpivot.com, the website, and you will actually see this all add-in. Once you have that, you click on PowerPivot window, okay, and then let's close everything, honestly. Let's just start from scratch. I promised you from scratch, so we're going to do it from scratch. And we'll go to Excel 2010. And I'm going to go to File right here. You'll see PowerPivot add-in. I'm going to import data about demographics. So here's my situation, folks. I want to find out what kind of people buy Xbox systems, and some of the data is in demographics, is in the cloud. Some of the data, geography, SAP data is local, and then product and fact table is on one of my on-premise database, data warehouse, data mart. So I'm going to go to PowerPivot window. When you click on this button, folks, magic starts to happen. Okay, because this is that special workspace where you can actually have those millions of rows of data. I was talking about hundreds of millions of rows you can import. I'm going to go to my on-premise database, the smaller marts. This is my data mart, and I'm going to select product hierarchy and sample fact table, and then finish. I'm simply importing not millions of rows of data right now, just thousands of rows of data from this. Otherwise, we'll be here forever. And then then my next data source geography is in SAP. So I've exported from SAP to a text file, and go to tab, delimited data, use first row as column headers right there. And next one is the one where, Hari, you need to give me all the user ID and password. So this is the one. This is geography data. All I've done is imported geography data from SAP, other data from SQL Server. And the third one, to spice it up, we are going to import from SQL Azure. Let's see if we can do that. SQL Azure, and he's going to guide me through all this good stuff. Oh boy, I have to type all this? Really?
You might lose the 4 minutes time.
Okay, so I'll do my best, okay? Or maybe I'll try this. T, can you ping me? How about just ping me everything besides the password? So we don't want to show you the password, so we'll just do that. Okay, sorry. I know. I wonder why. I mean, just type it on we'll just get you in. All right, sorry folks. I really want to show you the cloud stuff. Haripa, here we go. Okay. Oh, come on. Doesn't want to be disturbed? Why? No. So just do that. That's it. Okay. So you can see this part. Okay, don't type password, okay? Sorry. You know, I've done that before, actually. So. Okay. Control X. I can do this. And then username is, what's that? Oh, God, what am I doing here? I don't know what I'm doing, okay? So I know we are running short on time. That I know. So we'll go to Excel, right here, username, and password, okay. Yeah, go. So what I'm doing is, folks, what he's doing now is essentially typing the password for SQL Azure, where the data is located. And we are going to import all that stuff. We're going to mix it up. And then we're going to, one thing I'm going to tell you this, after this, we're going to cover top 10 best practices as well. We've already covered throughout the session. We're going to recap. We will not have enough time for the Q&A, but guess what? We're going to stay as much as you want right after or sort of this door. And okay, here we go. This is SQL Azure data. And I'm going to import this, and the top 10, I'm going to import maybe only demographics data, finish. And if everything is good here, demo guards are happy, then I am happy right now. Okay, cool. So I've imported all this data, right? Now, before I can create a cube, folks, what's missing here? Any guesses? Relationships? Okay, so then let's just do that. So create a relationship between demographics. Okay, I'm going to do it this way. Create a relationship between the sample fact table and this one, okay? Okay, which one? Yeah, so I'm trying to relate this with demographics data here, demographics raw. So we'll, demographics data, okay. Well, some things have changed here, so I don't know if it'll actually work, but we'll see. But the idea is you got this, the thing is you just simply link the tables, okay, together. You just create relationships like this, and then you simply generate the cube at the end of the day, okay? So you can very clearly see some, on the cloud, some things are a little bit different, F1 here. So if you go to this one, create a relationship between fact table and, anything like that, then you can simply create these relationships. Okay, I'm going to save some time here, but you've seen this before, right? All you have to do is create these relationships and generate the cube, okay? Very simple. Once you do that, you publish it to the SharePoint. And that's where what you will see is Excel, using Excel services, people can actually expose that data to the masses, okay, and do all this good stuff. So now what we'll do is I am going to really switch back to this best practices scenario here, okay. All right. So just to summarize what I said to you folks, when you enable all that self-service BI through EDW, through PowerPivot, and all the good stuff we talked about, business people can create reports on their own, publish it to your IT-hosted infrastructure. Then what you get is dashboards like this from PowerPivot. You get to know who's using it, how many users are using it, and all the good stuff, okay? Now let's switch the last 10 minutes we will really spend on this, and we'll summarize this quickly, okay? So we were going to do this quick role-playing, if you would, here. Diana, let's do that.
All right.
Are you going to stay with us for 7 minutes? Yes, you can? All right. We are simply going to summarize everything in this one place, okay? This is a situation, Diana, go ahead.
Okay. Am I on?
Kind of.
Kind of?
Yeah.
So I'm going to be the person of the IT director. I'm trying to build some BI solutions, and I have all these questions. So Sanjay and my consultants here are going to help me out.
Awesome.
All right, so
Let's go with number 10 question.
what do I do first, the enterprise data warehouse or a BI reporting consolidation?
What do you folks think? What should we do first? Yes, I like that. Thank you for that, right? Do that first. Easy step, 4 months, done. And this one takes 1 year, 2 years. That's say, okay, it's coming. But at least you're delivering something right now, right here. You already have SharePoint. How many of you have SharePoint? Everybody. Use SharePoint for BI as well. Okay, next thing.
And how to enable users to have a seamless experience while they're consuming the data?
So we can cover this
All
one,
right,
then
okay.
I'll cover the rest, okay?
So basically, the idea is DSL. When you have create a cloud-based application, allow the user to explore the data, and then give them a unified way of accessing data. And so the advantage what you get from that is abstraction, shielding, controlled governance, everything. Yeah.
Awesome. So you saw the demo, right, today? Hopefully you'll build an application like that, so I can answer.
And how do we implement seamless security across the layers?
Now, this is very important. We kind of glazed through this one initially when we showed CBI to you. What you might have noticed is, I never have to enter user ID and password for anything anywhere. Very important. Constraint delegation, remember that. How many of you use Kerberos today? Constraint delegation. So I know it's painful, but we had done it, and because of which, nobody has to ever enter user ID and password. Seamless data security all the way to the end. Okay? And next.
And how do you enable data governance and control the movement of the data?
So this is important, folks. As somebody was asking, security of data and everything else. So there are roles, okay? Publishers and consumers. Publishers should maintain and set rules for data movement, and you have to prioritize your user types. P1, P2, P3. Really important, isn't it? If performance is going to be bad, as you were saying before, then you really need to prioritize P1, folks, to have good performance. P2, it doesn't have to depend on how much money they are paying to you. Does it? That was a joke, okay? So, all right, so go ahead.
All right, and who should create BI? Should we actually give control of the report catalog to end users, or should that be in IT?
What do you think, folks? Business, really, really true. We enable self-service BI through that CBI solution I was talking about. Business people create reports, we don't. They publish to our servers. They're not hosting it, we are hosting it. They're adding the catalog, the admin tool, all metadata. They're publishing it to people, we are not. That is the key to success right there.
And why Azure?
Why Azure? What do you think, folks? Right? It's right there. Less maintenance, faster deployment. And again, another point that Harry pointed out to me was reduced time to get started. Think about all these dev, test, UAT environments, production environments that you have to set up for any new application. If it's already out there, you have to just simply enable it. And it takes less time, elasticity, scalability. Pay for what you use. You don't have to invest too much money.
And how do I know who's consuming the data and how they're actually consuming it?
Now, this is important, folks. You have to create any application, okay? It could be CBI type of reporting, scorecard dashboarding, or it could be DSL application. Enable usage statistics. You want to know how many users are using it. We've done it in both applications. How many, what is coming. So that way you can also improve over time if performance issues happen.
And what front-end tools do BI publishers use, and how do you integrate the various tools?
So we've already talked about most of these top 10 things. We are simply summarizing these for you. Okay? We have talked about the front-end tools that we use, Excel, right? Business power users can use Excel, PowerPivot, or little bit IT savvy business power users can use Report Builder. How many of you are using Report Builder 3.0 today? Awesome tool to start with. And then, of course, there's a Crescent session happening at 3 o'clock. I would encourage you to see that one as well. Okay? And then create dashboards. I'm going to go back. So create reports using Excel, using Report Builder, then bring them all together into dashboards using SharePoint 2010 Performance Point Dashboard Designer. Hopefully, many of you are using it. Okay? And then how do you evangelize? I guess that was the question Diana had. All right, you can hire me, okay? No, I'm just kidding. But evangelize, and so this is, okay, how many of you actually have marketing type of folks, sales types of folks in your IT departments? Not many people do, right? And just for that, I'm going to give you that. Thank you for doing that. People like us can, get jobs that way. But what I'm trying to say is, folks, no matter how many of you have seen the situations where you create a good IT solution, never gets adopted. Yes, because we don't do a good job of marketing from IT. So we literally, we came up with an evangelism team or onboarding team, 2 people, 4 years ago for CBI. And I evangelized, my whole job was only evangelism. That's it. My customers are not external people like you. My customers are internal folks. That's why I gave this T-shirt to Grant, because he works for Microsoft. He could be my customer. I'm just kidding. But and that's because it's not free. We charge money. So my team actually makes money every year in terms of cross charges for IT from business. BI as a service from IT for business folks. So I have lots of hints. I can talk 1 hour about evangelism. We're going to be in the booth on CBI. CBI booth, okay, if you go to BI area, we will be there from 3 to 5. You can ask us questions. And the last question is?
You achieve high customer satisfaction.
And to be honest with you, when we first launched CBI, we had escalations. Our review was bad. My review was bad the first time when CBI was launched because we did not do a good job of performance. So we learned some lessons, and you can never, okay, business is always right. IT is always not so right, okay? So we tried to be defensive. Personal experience, we tried to be defensive. No, it is business's fault. They did not create good reports. It doesn't matter. We were blamed, and we empathized with them. We learned from it. We moved on. Yes? Improve. So moral of the story, folks, last slide now is, again, empower business users by enabling self-service BI and data as a service from IT, powered by your EW, Azure applications, and data from the cloud. So, and the business and IT folks happily collaborate together. The journey continues, and yes, there are things we can do better in the future. Thank you.